Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of We Empower. I'm thrilled to have you all with us today, so sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired. Let's make today count. In today's episode, we will have a great guest here to introduce. It's Dr. Rüdiger Dahlke. So welcome here in the show, Rüdiger. I'm super happy to have you here. Um,
Got it.
So there's so much to say about you. You're best known for the many books and articles on health issues translated into more than 20 languages. I think I just looked it up. It's 28 languages and English comes now. And your work centers on psychosomatics, spiritual philosophy, nutrition, and esoteric. And if I look into your life, then there is so much we could talk about. And I'm very sorry already that it's limited to just less than 1 hour. So you were born in Germany, in East Berlin, right?
Father was from Hamburg, but I was taken out of East Berlin. I'm not a fugitive, but my parents took me when I was 2 years. So, but still, I have this certificate that I'm born in the German Democratic Republic with this hammer and this emblem. Okay.
And the flag and the Mao. And you've spoken about nature's wisdom. So you were born in Berlin, and about 6 years old, your mother left, or you moved then. Did a specific childhood moment first awaken your connection to the nature and to the love to medical?
Yes, in a way. When we came from Berlin, northern Germany, being fugitives officially, to Bavaria. This was in those old days, this is more than 70 years ago, you were not very welcome in Bavaria. So you were a fugitive and you were, they called it Prussian. And so I was not allowed to play soccer with them. They didn't want to have someone like me with them. So I went into skiing. They couldn't prevent me skiing. Then I won the ski races. This was a good idea for me because then I was not the Prussian guy. I was the guy from which is you read in the newspaper, who won the skiing races. So I was very much in nature. And I loved the mountains. I was not used to mountains, but I loved them very much. And I spent a lot of my time in nature. In winter, skiing, but in summertime, I often stayed for 1, 2 weeks in nature, just drinking fresh water from springs and eating some berries. I always had this tendency. But of course, then I 3 accidents stopped my skiing career. Thanks God. Today I'm happy with that. In those days, I was very unhappy because being a skiing hero was also perfect in puberty. Everybody loved you if you won the races. So I was very depressed in those days, but brought me more to Mother Nature, as I would say. Also today, so many years later, I would recommend my patients stay near to Mother Nature and be aware of Father State. The last decades, when I look what the German state did,
Yeah.
I think they put the taxes higher and higher. People must work more and more. My mother could stay home with her 4 children. I'm happy for that. Today it's almost impossible. With 4 children, this is socially difficult for you. You are poor with 4 children. And of course, mother and father have to work. I think the things which came from the state were not very favorite, not good for humanism. We came in a way of thinking also in medicine, farther and farther away from nature. And this pandemic was for me the maximum to tolerate. I knew, of course, from the beginning, this is a genetic therapy. Of course, messenger RNA and all the names are so clear. So if you said this, you were discriminated and things like this. And also, always I stayed in this direction, near to Mother Nature. I go for meditation into Mother Nature. I stay here in Cyprus in a house where is no other house around me. I like this. But of course, as a doctor, I interfere with all this I see there. And so come that I wrote so many books and made so many lectures and seminars, and I didn't stop. I mean, now, next month I become 74. So it's 9 years. I'm over the limit, more or less. Too old for that. But it was a pandemia which brought me back completely. I said, I don't believe what's happening there. And so, yeah, I still like to write, but I do this in nature. I sit with my laptop outside and write, and about mythology, the last book now, and I like it very much. And also in medicine, I think that nature has the better recipes for us. Mm-hmm. Of course, if you want to suppress something, the allopathic medicine is working very well in the first half of your life. But in the second half of your life, we have so many chronic diseases. Mm-hmm. People with rheumatism, if I tell them fasting, we do, if the weight is fit for this, we do 2 weeks, 3 weeks fasting, and then we change to whole grain organic food, peace food, as I call this, vegan-led in the end. But I think vegan is not enough, because white sugar, white flour is a horror. It's vegan, but I mean, also cigarettes are vegan. Whiskey and vodka is vegan. So, not for veganism. I'm for peace food, what I call it. You make peace with your immune system. You get more peaceful. So after 50 years of eating like this, when I sit in the nature, there are birds sitting on your hand and rabbits coming and want to be near to you. This is nice. And of course, it makes you strange in a way. And sometimes I think I'm too far away from my patients. I have to get them where they are, bring them to a better place in their life, in their own psyche. Yeah.
You said your own 3 accidents brought you back to yourself, or brought you back to your mission. Normally, I would know a lot of people saying, "Oh my God, this accident was terrible, and this person was responsible for this, and this person has a fault, and this circumstances made it like this." You are talking so peaceful and so thankful about this. How does it come?
Well, in the beginning, I started different, I have to say. The guy, I was training for downhill racing and skiing, and this was a place where nobody else was allowed to be. Then there was this guy coming suddenly, and I ran into him. And of course, I had a complicated braking situation of 3 times of the leg, and I hated this guy who was responsible, but I never got him. Could never see him. And it took me years. Later, I found out, okay, I can be very grateful, because he took me out of this. And I needed 2 other accidents. I could have learned it directly, because I was in the clinic and stayed 8 weeks in bed. In those days, they put you in plaster. They didn't operate. It's long ago. And there was another guy in the room, and he was also for a long time there, and his parents ordered a psychologist to train him autogenic training after I had H. Schultz. And he wasn't interested in it. So I learned it with seeing only the backside of this psychologist, but I learned autogenic training to the upgrades. This is already guided meditation. And I liked it, and I always stayed with it, but I didn't check out of the skiing thing. And if you're in this with these guys, these train coaches, and so they tell you, there were problems. I didn't want to eat meat. I stopped eating meat as a child, but they wanted me to eat lots of meat, because they said muscles is good for muscles, and you need muscles to win the races. So yeah, thank God I could win them without eating so much meat. But there were points. And after the third thing, I was broken here the shoulder, and they put me in this plaster, like in this Nazi greeting, like this. It was 9 weeks like this, and this was good for me, if I look back, because then I found out after breaking the right leg and the left leg, and now the right shoulder. Next is the throat, the neck. I stopped this now, and I turned back. I went to school anyway, and made my matura, and I went to university, and then it was more or less difficult for me to choose medicine because I come from such a doctor family. Everybody became doctor or priest. And so first I didn't want this. We were hippies. We didn't want to do what our parents wanted us to do. It took me long to finally study medicine.
And I mean, you said your grandfather was also a doctor. Your father was a general manager at Thyssen. I mean, so you got in your blood the healing part, but also the management part. Did the conventional medical practice and conventional management practice clash with your early intuitive sense of feeling?
I was never a good manager. And I was always independent, and I always had my own place. And the expectation of my family was that I become a professor, and at a good university. They wanted me to go to the USA to study there. They said, "You want to only stay in Germany? This is not possible in this family. And you have to study also psychology." And I did this because it was fun also. And I wouldn't miss this time in the US. But it's long ago. You see, my English is bad now. But it was good in a way. But I stayed with the healing thing. And I was disappointed from university medicine. It was not what I wanted to do. And after more than a year in the hospitals, I stopped this. And I thought, my idea was, I cannot really help people with this medicine. And the other thing is, I get unhealthy in this situation. I was in psychiatry and surgery and internal medicine, and it was really not mine. The best for me was surgery then, and I went to the ambulance and took a little bit more time to repair the face of a little girl, because I thought in puberty, if I take half an hour more to fix it, then it will change a lot. So I rationalized it, that I can stay here and be a doctor. But then I met Thorvald Detlefsen, and he told me, you have maybe some capacity as a surgeon, but you know this special shadow therapy. You learned it from me, but you needn't learn it. You could do it from the beginning. So it's your responsibility to do that. And he told me that if I don't do that, I have to take over the responsibility for not helping all the people in this way as I could. And he said, I have to do this. And surgery can do so many people. And till then I did my meditation, and I worked a little bit as a psychotherapist, but more as a hobby. Mm-hmm. And he brought me to this point where I said, okay, leave all this university medicine. I just go into a spiritual form of psychotherapy. And that was the way to find that in the accidents is logic. I never had any accident till now, 74. But these 3 accidents were in 1.5 years to bring me out of this. And it is sense behind this. There's even a scientific study about this I found later from Francis Alexander. It was a great psychosomatic guy in the US, and he published it in the 50s of the last century. He had these accident patients. We know scientifically that 80% of the accidents are produced by 20% of the people. So these are specialists for accidents. And for companies, accidents are a problem because they are so expensive. Yeah. And then Francis Alexander and his guys were ordered from a big company to change this, to stop the accidents. And they did it in the allopathic way in the beginning. More protections for the engines and these machines, and better schooling of the people. But it helped. They didn't produce accidents at this machine, but they made more accidents on coming to work and getting home. So this is the same plight. And then Alexander had an idea. He put such an accident guy to another place in the company. And then the accident stopped for a month. And then they came again. And then Alexander, this very clever guy, said, okay, we have to find these accident guys who produce all the accidents and bring them to different places in the company. And this changed everything. Those people stopped with the accidents. And they found out that in the long run, these people became the better workers. In the beginning, they were those who made all this mismanagement and disruptions and all this. But in the long run, these people who made all the holiday, if they had to jump in for someone on holiday and to work with the new guys, and they learned much more about the production lines and all this. In the end, they brought ideas in and got patents even. Alexander wrote, by changing the place where they work, we made out of the worst workers the best workers. And this brought me to the idea that behind the accidents is an idea. Those people need change. They cannot work in monotone situations. Then they make their change for themselves. They make an accident. Then they have also a break, because this is then first aid at the accident place, and then hospital, and then rehabilitation and all this. But if we give them this willingly, then we can prevent the accidents. And this was more or less the beginning of disease, as the healing power of disease. This is the only English book, I think, in England. And to find the sense behind, the principles behind.
And understand the language of the body, right?
Yes. So if you have someone who has one infection after the other, and you can look what is behind the infection. It's inflammation, it's war in the body. The immune system is fighting. So they need to fight more, not in the body, but in their mind. Their thinking must be more aggressive, not their lifestyle. And you can give these principles names, and I choose those of antique mythology. We know aggression is Mars. Ares Mars is the war as the god of the war, and his principle is aggression. And people with infection have a problem with aggression. They can live this in their body with a fighting immune system, or they can live this in their brain by having new ideas and fight for them, and things like this. And you can find 12 of these principles, all these ancient gods give the name to one principle. Uranus is the principle for the accident. Aggression is the principle for the infections. But there is also other things like moon. This is a very female principle. And there's the stomach. And you find Venus. And Venus, you find the kidneys. The kidneys have to regulate our body chemistry between acids and alkalines things. They have to do this in the body. And if you look at Venus, she wants relationships. And what is the sense of relationships? You have to find the other part in yourself, like Carl Gustav Jung said. So as a man, I have to find the anima. You as a woman have to find the animus.
Mm-hmm.
So this brought me deeper and deeper into these looking for reasons in illness, reasons you can really understand and which give you the chance to healing. Because in the old times, the doctors asked, what are you missing? Was fehlt Ihnen?
Yeah.
And today we have patients who tell us what they have. Lots and lots of symptoms and all this. And I see my task in understanding out of the symptoms what is the principle they are missing in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look for better solutions for this principle.
Mm-hmm.
War and rapture and accidents is not a good solutions.
Yeah.
But these are very primitive levels of this principle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The better level of, for example, for the Uranus thing, for the accident is creativeness, new ideas,
Mm-hmm.
unknown ways to get out of the problems.
Mm-hmm.
The better solution for the aggression theme is not fighting. You can fight in the relationship also, but you can also be more courageous and try new ways and talk about things in an offensive way. And you can also do this in a not lunatic, it's in English different, in a lunar way, in a moon way. Yeah, this is much more soft and you look for your feelings and all this. So you have 12 of these principles. And if you know them well, you can heal much better. Heal in the original sense of the word. Universal medicine is just suppressing symptoms or cutting things away. But this is really a ridiculous strategy. Look at the cancer thing. Now they make amputations of healthy breasts because they want to prevent cancer. But with this logic, of course, if you cut away the breast, you cannot have cancer at the breast. But you can have cancer in every other organ or place besides the heart. So this is a stupid thing. We cannot cut away everything.
No, and school medicine has no other solutions. This is right. So I'm
For
looking.
decades, they cut away the uterus. If you are 40, more than 40, and you have your children, away with the uterus. But
Yes.
if you do this, remember, if you think it in the future, then you can cut away everything. Then you have a brain sitting in a solution to feed it with fear of brain cancer, of brain tumor. This is ridiculous. We have to find real prophylaxis, real prevention means you live in a way that in future you don't fall ill.
That's right. So we
And
need a
not
small
looking
break now.
bad
We need
and
a small
finding.
break. We need a small break now, and we are back
Yeah.
in 2 minutes. So we will continue the conversation in approximately 2 minutes. Stay tuned. So, and now we can move on. I'm happy to continue. We just talked about the 12 principles. You told me about that. It is super interesting. What would you think, Rüdiger, if many people or if everybody knows about these 12 principles, would it change the world? Would we have more peace, less war, better relationships?
Yes, I think, but more important is not to find is still to find the laws of life. That there is polarity, that there's resonance, that there's a law of the beginning. If we would learn this already in kindergarten, that would be very good. But we don't. So you find in politics, for example, they do always the same. Yeah, it's Paul Watzlawick, our Austrian philosopher, said already, doing the same and the same and the same will never bring a solution. Yeah. To
More
do
of
nothing, not to change nothing will not change in the long run. If we want to heal, we have to integrate the 12 principles. Also, if we want to make real prevention. What we do today in school medicine is to realize the problem early. This is okay. It's better than late, but it's in the past. They look in the past to get the knot very early. Okay, but better would be a lifestyle from nutrition to movement to meditation to stillness, a lifestyle which keeps illnesses away.
Yes.
And that would also be perfect if you know all the 12 principles and you integrate them all in your life. You will be, and you find the constructive solutions then, not the destructive ones. Polarity gives us always these two possibilities. If you live the 12 principles on a constructive way, you need not fight because you think courageously. Yeah. And you need not be so offended all the time. This is taking away so much energy. You can find a real good place for you, for yourself to live. And you can, with every principle, we have talked already about this Uranus principle of change. The Wind of Change was a nice song. Change really a little bit, or times. If you want to do this, you do it on another level. But university medicine knows just two ways: suppressing and cutting away. This is poor.
Yeah, and if we take your words that disease is a teacher, and we take away the signals giving us a chance to change, then we are cutting our body language. Isn't it like that?
Like that. And it's so important, the body language, if you can read it. I shortly met Sami Molcho. I don't know if you know him. I read his books, of course, and I always liked him. We were in the same center. He is 89. I knew, of course, this is Sami Molcho. And he came to me and said, "You are Rüdiger Dahlke?" And we talked 3 hours in a row. This guy is 89 years, and he is so moving. I can see he moves like a young one and is so fit in his brain. We talked about everything, medicine, politics. And so next time we met again, made an appointment together at this place where we were both treated. And he brought me his new book. He wrote a new book, 89, and about the region we live in. Very interesting. So he lived his life. His work was always fun for him. He has his family. I could talk to someone who is really aligned with his destiny. I mean, he is open to that. With 89, you can go all the time. But also you can see, and I can see, he is so youthful in his thinking. And also his body, very fit. So he's a good picture for me. I like to meet him. When I had read so many books, the body language is so important and could help us in so many ways. It's ridiculous not to learn them in medicine. Anyway, I know so many things which must also, from my viewpoint, urgently be integrated. I always was for this. As a hippie in those days, in study times, we thought sociology and psychology must be integrated. But when I saw it years later as a doctor, they made biomathematics out of it, statistics. They cannot come out of this area. And what we really need is today so many things. There are so many simple things. When I looked at the world and made so many journeys in my lifetime. Still do a bit. Also with doctors, I organize trips for them. And if you look at people, simple people, those people who are more than 100 years old are simple people eating simple things, all still working. One reason why I never think about retirement or something. This is really unhealthy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
3 years ago, I met for 50 years a feast with the guys. We had Matura together. I was looking forward to that. But I found old people, all 70, after 50 years, who were very astonished about me, said, "What pill are you taking?" I said, I'm one of those few people who don't take pills. Not for pharma and medicine. It was really depressing. It was no feast. They were ill. They were drunkards, part of them, of the guys. They were fat. It was horrible. And I know them as young people, nice girls, ambitious guys. But 50 years later, it was really depressing. And it's not necessary. I look at Sammy Molcho and Hubert Hellinger, and he became over 90 years. I know Bruder David Steindl-Rast. He is a monk, and he's 98, and he is so fit in his brain, and he is so vividly, so lively in his body.
Yeah.
In this age, it's possible. And I'm not a big fan of longevity medicine. I don't want to tell this, but if you know the principles and you know the laws, which define our life in a way, we can follow them consciously or unconsciously. Yeah. But this is not a good way. You can see it everywhere in politics, but also in money businesses. They always do the same thing. They have no new recipes because they don't know these laws. Otherwise, they would know there's always an opposite polarity. So we have Germany and Austria, we have these peace politicians, the green ones. They now want peace by bringing weapons to the Ukraine. I can't believe this. 2 weeks before the election, there were a peace party. And now they want to get peace by winning war.
Yes.
They don't realize what they are doing. Yeah. I mean, Germans, our tanks were already in the Ukraine. We should remember this. But you find this everywhere. The French, they voted for this Macron. He doesn't know French history. Otherwise, he wouldn't like to send French soldiers in the USSR, the old one, or into Russia. Napoleon tried this already. If you have a little bit intelligence, you could remember what happened to those, both to Hitler and Napoleon. Russia is too big to conquer it. This is a rational thought. And they try it again and again and again. And I'm quite happy about Trump. I am courageous enough to say this. He wants them to talk. Why not? You cannot solve this without talking. You never.
Why do the people do not change? Why do they stay in the same toxic system, in the small system of their own health system, where they feel and see that it's not working, but they don't change? They go again and again to the doctor, brain cancer, breast cancer, oh, now I have blood cancer, but they don't change. They just go the same direction further and further, where their body gives
not anything else. And they were still trained like this. You know, all these teachers you had, all the teachers I had in the first grade school, mostly women, because they are so horribly bad paid that no man is doing their job. So what do they teach you? Concentration. Don't laugh. Don't play. Don't joke around. Don't dance in line. Don't dance out of the line. Don't think out of the box. We have the recipes. You get them. And what coming out is this sorry-looking, trist group of people who is doing politics. I mean, if you have no education, you are too educated for politics. Me too. But if you have no education and you're a bit lazy, best thing is you go into politics. There you have so many people who have no education, no university degree, are rather lazy. If you see this EU thing, it's incredible. This monster, this tumor of bureaucracy. I don't think that you made it better in England, but it would be a good idea to get out of this and start new. And sometimes they do this. Relaunch, they call it. Why do they do a relaunch? Because it's a law. It's all in the beginning, says this law. So if you had a bad beginning, it will stay bad. But you can relaunch. It's very costly, a relaunch. But they do this. In economics, they do this. The politicians fear relaunches because they don't get so much money. Do you know any other group of people who get so much money for just laziness, for thinking laziness, for staying in the same box? So,
and for taking so much responsibility but not keeping it.
Nobody wants responsibility, and you have this wonderful word, responsibility, in English, in Anglo-Saxon languages. To respond with your abilities.
Yes.
Yeah, responsibility. We need answers.
Yeah.
And we need to take our abilities and respond of what nature wants us to do, what our destiny wants us to do. We could be so much more open.
Yeah, absolutely. And
but we are not taught to do it.
And our talk now comes to an end, so we definitely need a second series. But for today, could you give us, I mean, you said you're 70 plus, but radiant vitality. Could you give us a few hacks of your daily routine, which maybe the listeners would like to also practice to have such a great vital body and mind as you?
Of course, with meditation, I give my day a frame. I start with meditation, I stop with meditation. And in between, it depends. If I'm in Cyprus, here in Paphos, on the countryside, I do some yoga, yin yoga, and then I do reading.
What kind of yoga?
It's a very female sort of yoga, yin, from the yin yang. So it's just relaxing the body, giving the muscles the chance to get longer, not training them. If you make Ashtanga yoga, you become a bodybuilder.
Yes.
I want the opposite. I did a lot of this male sort of training when I was ski racing, but now I want my body to keep soft and moving without pain. So I do brushing my whole body with a real strong brush, and I want to keep my joints. And this is not so easy in German-speaking area. We operate 10 times more than, for example, in England, other more rational countries. So I want to keep them. And then I do reading or writing. I do a writing meditation. Right now I write about mythology. So I look at the sea. I have a wonderful view here. And a house not at the sea, but above the sea, so I can a lot of sea and the fields of bananas before and fruits, a big garden. And then I'm getting some fruits from the garden. I eat only at 1 o'clock p.m., 2 o'clock p.m. First time. I eat fruits and vegetables, of course. And here I do a lot of writing now. Then when the sun is not so hot anymore, I go to the beach and running for half an hour with sticks and chewing gum to keep these muscles, maseta. Also, for you, it's not important. For me too. If you are so old, you need to keep them. Otherwise, you became these like elderly people often are. So this also muscles, train them. I want to keep my leg muscles and all this. So I like movies. I'm a real movie fan. I have thousands of movies and I wrote books about movies. And you can find these principles also in movies. And you can learn from my viewpoint about psychiatry much more from good movies like Mr. Jones or The Silver Lining with Bradley Cooper or Nicholson. Jack Nicholson is a wonderful actor for all these things. I don't know the English titles of the movies, but most of the evenings I see a good movie. Then in between, most time we go hiking a little bit in the countryside or having love or eating well. We eat only 2 times a day, but very good food, grown in our own garden or buying healthy organic food is possible also in Cyprus, and enjoy this and try to be happy most of the time. Have a lot of reasons for this. I I was gifted in a way. I had a best-selling book when I was 32, and I had never to think about money. This was the the best gift I could get from destiny.
I can
So I could always do what I like,
thank
not what brings money.
Thank you so, so much to sharing this recipe with us. And I hope many got a lot of inspiration from this, and if it's just a small little step. So thank you very much, Rüdiger, for the stories you shared with me and with us, and for the engaging discussion, and for the very inspiring insights. I look forward to our ongoing exchange and the impact we will continue to make together.
Voluntarily. Thank you, Annabelle.